all male members were required to be castrated.
Imagine chopping off your ding dong to join a cult just for it to be false. The most terrifying cults to ever exist.
Let's start with the strange and slowly work our way towards the most terrifying ones on the list.
Let's get it.
Number 7,
What?
the Russian Doomsday Cult.
Okay, judging by the way these stick figures look, I already know we're starting off terrible, bro. Why did her lips look like that? It looked like some sort of esophagus or something. I don't know what's going on and why she got more gum than teeth. Looking like Charlie Kirk from a Jubilee episode. Look at her face. I'm sorry, bro. This look like, this doesn't look like someone's head. It looks like down there, if you know what I mean.
The Russian Doomsday Cult would make international news in November of 2007 when around 35 of their members barricaded themselves inside of a small cave in Russia's Penza region. And when authorities went down to investigate and remove them from the cave, the cult members would respond by threatening to blow themselves up.
Why? Why do y'all want to be in this cave so bad? I mean, apparently, isn't this the whole point to survive?
With some of the members even bringing their children inside of the cave, police were left with no option but to wait them out.
Okay.
But before I tell you how this all ends, let's first cover the origins of this mysterious group and how they got to that point.
Okay.
The cave dwellers were originally part of the Russian Orthodox Church, but they would end up leaving the church when a self-proclaimed prophet named Pyotr Kuznetsov convinced them that the world would soon be coming to an end.
I'm not trusting nobody named Peter Kornetskov, whatever, bro. I don't understand. How convincing do these people have to be for them to believe it? Did he just like magically fly?
Pyotr would refer to his new followers as the Chosen Ones, which made them feel special.
Look at this man's hairline. There is nothing special about him, and 2 of them have butt chins with 1 teeth.
Pyotr would ban his followers from eating processed foods, watching TV, or handling money.
That's just a scam at that point. What you mean I can't? I'll work for this, bro.
They would also reject barcodes, national identification numbers, and passports. Since Pyotr convinced
So it's illegal to even travel the country? Yeah, bro. He has some sort of dirt on him.
them that they all contained the mark of the beast. But after some time had gone by, his followers began to ask questions.
Y'all didn't ask questions in the beginning?
Hey, Pyotr.
Yeah?
You know how you've been talking a whole lot about the end of the world and all?
Yeah?
Well, me and the others been wondering, well, when exactly is it?
Well,
So you had this elaborate plan telling them to get away from barcodes, get away from this, get away from that. But you don't know when exactly the world gonna end? I feel like that's the first thing you should have known what to tell them about.
What you mean?
May 2008. Yeah, May 2008. Which was 6
What? I'm sorry, what was that reaction?
months away. The group was then instructed to enter a small cave and patiently wait for the world to come to an end. The cult members entered the cave in November 2007, but conveniently enough, Pyotr would not be joining them. Instead, he had convinced his followers that since the world was ending, they would no longer need their personal possessions. With authorities speculating that he was busy selling off his followers' belongings, he was quickly arrested and taken into custody.
So y'all were convinced to go away in the cave, and then the main man behind us is not gonna show it to y'all? No, I'm not gonna lie, some of y'all have to be mentally slow. There is no way, and you have children, you're willing to take your children with you?
If only he could have predicted his arrest. Okay, I'll see myself out.
Nah, that was funny.
The cult members would oddly enough still remain inside of the cave. And 5 months would go by with no one entering or leaving. But on March 28th, 2008, 7 women finally had enough, exiting the cave and immediately seeking medical attention. A few days later, a portion of the cave would
Damn, so he could convince 7 women to join his deli cult, but I can't get 1 woman to just like be my girl? Like, that's kind of sad though, bruh.
end up collapsing, leading more members to rage quit and exiting the cave. With some members still refusing to leave, the police would have
These drawings are crazy, but I genuinely feel like some of them look like this.
an idea of bringing Pyotr down to the cave, where he would instruct his followers to exit, but they refused. And on May 16th, 2008,
the main man behind this whole myth told you to get away and you said no? I don't know. No, they gotta be off some sort of psychedelics.
the last 9 members of the cult would finally emerge from the cave due to the toxic fumes produced by 2 of the members who had died over the winter. With authorities expecting their exit, they greeted them with a cow, since they refused to drink milk that contained a barcode. As for
Dude, he literally told you it was a lie, bro. He didn't join y'all. Bro, what type of like mental delusion do these people have?
Piotr, authorities would discover that the man actually slept inside of a coffin, further solidifying the fact that he was completely insane, where he would end up inside of a psych ward. Number 6, Shinrikyo. Probably one of the most infamous and dangerous cults to have ever existed.
What happened?
In 1987, this cult would make themselves known to the world when a few of their members orchestrated the deadliest domestic attack in Japan's history, leaving 13 innocent people dead and over 6,000 injured. But before we get to that heinous attack, let's first cover how this cult began. The year is 1987. A man named Chizuo Matsumoto began to distribute pamphlets, claiming to have reached a new level of enlightenment through meditation. The pamphlet advertised a
You is not the Buddha, bro. All right, stop.
Yoga class where you can come and learn about his amazing discovery.
All right, so the enlightened person knows yoga. Is that our metric now? If you can't bend over a certain amount of degrees, you're done?
But during these classes, he would spend his time preaching about the end of the world. And that should have probably been your cue to updog your way out the class.
Literally.
What's that?
Nothing much, man. What's up with you?
I don't get it.
Nah, that was also a funny joke, bro. I'm sorry. If the whole point is you stretching and a man is talking to you about how the world gonna end, I'm sorry, bro. You ruined my session. I'm leaving.
And over the course of a few years, he managed to garner dozens of loyal followers, naming the group Shinrikyo, which roughly translates to the supreme truth. And in 1992, Chizuo Matsumoto would gain even more followers when he released the book titled Declaring Myself the Christ, which had a picture of him on the cross as the cover.
I'm sorry, this looks like a memeable book. There is no way. So you're gonna start your whole religion based off of another important religion? That's blasphemy, bro.
At its peak, the cult would grow to over tens of thousands of members that spanned over multiple countries. His followers would even state that if people would just take a moment to listen to their enlightened leader, they too would see the light. But without warning, on the morning of March 20th, 1995, tragedy would strike when a total of 5 chemical weapon attacks took place in the Tokyo subway system, killing 13 innocent people and injuring around 6,000 others. The attacks would quickly backfire as the authorities began to arrest everyone involved, including the cult leader. These attacks were meant to initiate the apocalypse, and once the world had collapsed, the cult would rise to rule the world in the way that they saw fit.
Why would you need to rule the world? You think God would want something like this? Let's just attack everyone that don't believe in our religion. It don't work like that, bro.
But instead, the attacks led the leader and 6 high-ranking members directly to death row, where they were held until their execution date, which came on July 6, 2018. Number 5, Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate was an American religion movement that began to garner a following in Southern California during the mid-1970s. The group has been characterized as a UFO religion cult.
UFO? We believe in aliens gonna rescue us now, bro? Come on, bro.
Whatever the hell that means. The followers of this cult believed that they could transform themselves into immortal extraterrestrial beings once they rejected their human nature, something that they would refer to as reaching the next level, which I guess they ultimately did, but more on that later. The group was started by Marshall Applewhite.
Marshall Applewhite. Let me see if this man is just drawing just to draw or they actually look someone like this. You know what? That's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate.
Bonnie Nettles, who after confiding in each other would come to the conclusion that they were the 2 witnesses described in the book of Revelation, which would make them prophets. Fully convinced, they would attend church groups where they would present themselves as the 2. And I can only assume how funny that must have been.
The 2? Come on, bro. Like, that's just randomized selection at this point. Like, come on, bro.
He broke the bread and gave it to them, saying, this is my body. Excuse me? Yeah? Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to let you guys know that, well, we are The two? What does that mean? Like,
Y'all gotta respect us both. Like, come on, bro. This goofy ass cult.
the two. I'm not following. You know, like what two? The two from the book of Revelations? Right. Get a load of this guy.
Okay.
But somehow the two would begin to garner a following when they began to hand out flyers advertising their seminars, like this one, claiming to be from the next level, leaving their higher being self to come down to earth to help others. And somehow they managed to recruit around 39 loyal followers. Now, one of the strangest and most
I don't understand it. I could go to a university and I could tell everybody that, oh, I'm the one. Why would anyone believe me? I'm gonna look at you guys like you're ridiculous. What?
terrifying thing
Who
about
are
this
these
cult
people?
was the fact that all male members were required to be castrated. Which we can all agree is a wild thing to just throw out.
And y'all do it? I want to know what these people specifically look at for them to be like, yep, this the one right here. I'm not gonna chop off my balls. Imagine chopping off your ding dong to join a cult just for it to be false.
The group would first try to do the procedure in-house, almost killing one of their members. So all future castrations
Crazy.
would take place at the local hospital. The group would be left in complete shock when one of the two founding leaders, Bonnie Nettles, would suddenly pass away.
Apparently they not the two no more, they just the one. And also, apparently I didn't know you could just go to the hospital and say, yeah, just chop it off. Like what?
This would cause the entire cult's belief system to collapse, since they originally preached that all members were to ascend alive inside of a UFO. So Applewhite made a few adjustments to their beliefs and would come to the conclusion that only the person's soul would be taken by the spaceship.
So let me get this straight. A man that could erase the beliefs of your religion and put something else, that's what's gonna constitute your cult? Like you still gonna believe it? He's literally writing some BS right now.
12 years would go by, and the members of Heaven's Gate grew tired of waiting. And on March 26, 1997, the San Diego County Sheriff's Department would discover a horrifying
Not
scene.
my city.
Inside of a rented mansion laid 39 lifeless bodies, including the cult's leader, bringing Applewhite's revelations to fruition. And
And imagine when they actually just realize they opt themselves and they they not going in no alien spaceship.
in his own words, the members of Heaven's Gate had finally graduated. Number 4, the
From what?
Branch Dividians. This is one of the most insane cults to have ever existed.
What happened?
The Branch Dividians were an apocalyptic Christian cult founded in Texas in 1935 by a man named Victor Houteff. And in 1957, the cult would purchase 941 acres of land near Elk, Texas,
Rich, damn.
where they would build a large community that would serve as their home and headquarters. But
Okay.
things wouldn't really start to heat up until 1987, when
What
a man
happened?
named David Koresh would take over as the cult's leader. And he was, of course, you guessed it,
Ugly.
a self-proclaimed
Idiot.
prophet.
They can't have no magical abilities. I'm not believing them, bro. If you look like a regular human being that does nothing, I'm not believing.
According to David, he was appointed by God as a prophet with the task of bringing the day of judgment. But David's downfall would start when he began to illegally collect and stockpile dozens of guns and thousands of rounds of ammunition.
Look, if you really had that much damage and God appointed you, you would think that you could shoot bullets from your fingers. Why do you need this much ammo for?
Since he was preparing for the upcoming apocalypse. And on February
Whoa.
28th, 1993, federal agents would arrive at the cult's doorsteps with a search and arrest warrant in hand. But the Davidians' cult members had no intentions of allowing them inside or arresting their leader. And within moments, gunshots began to go off. In
What?
the gunfire, 4 federal agents and 6 Davidians would end up losing their lives. But
Imagine going to work because of some people that believe in some crazy cult. And that's how you end up leaving this world. That's absurd.
this was just the beginning.
What?
The cult members would go on to barricade themselves inside of their
And the
compound
children?
for 51 days. But eventually, the FBI was given the green light to enter, firing multiple tear gas canisters inside, and shortly after, the entire building would erupt in flames.
Damn.
And to this day, no one really knows who started the fire, but after it was lit, the standoff would end within the hour, with 76 Davidians and their leader perishing in the fire or by
Damn.
smoke inhalation. And for the
Damn.
high-ranking cult members who managed to escape with their lives, they would end up inside of a cell.
And look at y'all damaged too. Yeah, why would you do this?
3. Order of the Solar Temple.
Ugh.
This apocalyptic cult would make national headlines on October 4th, 1994.
When what
two
happened?
fires would break out in Switzerland, one at a farm and the other in a chalet. When the paramedics arrived at the scene, they would discover a total of 48 burned bodies across both locations.
Bro, what? I don't understand what type of brainwashing has to happen in someone's head for them to be like, yup, burn me alive. Like, does that not scare y'all? I'm sorry, man. Like, that scares me, right? Like any harmful way of passing away. But you're doing this in the name of your cult. What is your cult doing to you, bro? Are they offering you like some sort of like limited edition Pop-Tarts? Like,
They had all been wearing white cloaks, but strangely enough, some of them also had a plastic bag over their heads. They were all laid
Why?
out flat on the ground and in a circle.
I wonder if any of them were like, ah, shit, I want to go back at it. I don't like this.
One of the sites was even surrounded by mirrors and the cult's symbols. On arrival, officers would also discover that the fires had been ignited with the remote control device. And since this was the early 1990s, they were clearly showing off. But these fires wouldn't be an isolated incident. In fact, this was just the beginning. 1 year later,
Why?
on December 15th, 1995 in France, 16 burned bodies would be discovered, laying in the formation of a star. Then 2
Why?
years later, on March 22nd, 1997, 5 more members would be discovered in Canada. They were yet
Why?
again set ablaze by a remote-controlled device. Now, here's
Yeah.
the terrifying
Now
part.
y'all using technology to go out now?
Remember those plastic bags? Well, apparently multiple cult members refused to drink the poison on the night of the sacrifice, where they were then held down against their will and had plastic bags placed over their heads.
Yo!
This was not a choice. Everyone had to participate. The
Yo, okay, they're just in prison then.
reason why these cult
R.I.P.
members took part in these rituals was because they believed that the end of the world was near, and by leaving Earth, their souls would ascend to another planet, inevitably escaping the apocalypse.
Why don't y'all wait to see like a crazy sign before doing that? Like, why don't y'all just want to wait until your whole life goes away for you to ascend, right? Okay.
Number
Mental
2,
illness.
movement for the restoration of the 10 Commandments of God. Could they not have thought of a shorter name? Now, this will probably be one of the most tragic endings to a cult that you will ever hear.
What
But
happened?
before I tell you how this all ends, let's first cover the cult's rise and beliefs. This was a religious movement that took place in Uganda from 1989 through the early 2000s.
Africa
The
cult?
group would claim to be a religious movement, garnering around 5,000 members at its peak.
Damn.
However, the rest of the world would categorize this group as a doomsday cult. The cult's beliefs were very simple. Members were strictly to follow the 10 Commandments. They thought that by
Okay.
doing so, they would escape the coming apocalypse. They actually
bad.
feared breaking the commandments so much that a lot of the members outright refused to speak and would
Huh?
instead communicate using sign language.
Dude, it's human. It's normal to sin, bruh. What? And then just ask for forgiveness if you want to take that route. But what's going on? Talk no
Adapting the
jutsu.
classic winning strategy of you can't lose if you don't
talk.
play.
Oh my
Which is a
goodness.
strategy that I have been using for years, making my friends absolutely jealous. Since they say stuff to me like, you literally don't even leave the house. You don't do anything anymore. And what happened to you?
Imagine trying to talk to a girl and whatnot. How are you gonna spit game when you just going like this? Like, say something, bruh.
But don't worry,
So what do they say in bed? Do they just like be quiet too?
those are just words. It's so much better to know that you remain undefeated. The leaders of the cult would even claim to be able to directly talk to God and being told when the world would come to an end,
How?
placing the date on December 31st, 1999. As
You
soon
are
as this
off
date was
by
announced, the cult members erupted in
long.
a frenzy, selling their livestock and all of their belongings for very cheap. The leaders would then instruct
What?
their members to give all of the money to the movement, which they gladly did. But eventually, the date of doomsday arrived, and surprise, nothing happened, causing the leaders to push the date back to March 17th, 2000. With
And then y'all gonna collect more money and more money. Are y'all serious?
the followers enraged and beginning to ask for their money back, the leaders could not afford to be wrong this time around. So on March
So what'd they do?
17th, 2000, all
Lit some
530 members were instructed to attend a party inside of a boarded up church. But just moments after the last person arrived,
What?
the party would quickly come to an end. With the only entrance to the church being shut, the building quickly erupted in flames.
Damn.
With no way out, all 530 members
Somebody turned Super Saiyan. What type of animation channel is this?
would be trapped inside and
No.
slowly burned alive.
R.I.P.
Police would later discover that
Damn.
2 of the 5 cult leaders never attended the party. And just
who
4
would've
days
thought?
after the church fire, police would investigate all of the cult's properties, discovering an additional 395 bodies. The bodies of members that had been poisoned just days before the party,
Damn,
raising
R.I.P.,
the
bro.
total body count to over 900. The 2
What?
cult leaders that are believed to have orchestrated these attacks managed to escape the country before being captured. And to this day, they remain free.
Nah, bruh. They really ran it up. Bruh, people are gonna use this as the new method. No way you just had people go into a false cult for money, bruh.
Number 1.
That's gotta
the
be
People's
D1
Temple.
scamming.
This cult would become one of the most talked about tragedies in all of American history.
Yes.
With countless of
drink.
documentaries made on the subject and word of a new movie currently in the works, it really goes to show just how much of an impact this cult has had on society. It would all begin in 1954 in Indianapolis, Indiana, when a communist
living
man
there?
named Jim Jones opened up his own church, attracting people by offering healing services, claiming to heal all sorts of diseases. In the coming years, Jones would garner thousands of loyal followers, secretly using religion to further his political ideology.
Okay.
After a while, Jones would begin to get criticized for his views, leading him to move to California in 1965. And by
Damn.
the early
And they accepted him in California?
1970s, he had established the temple's headquarters in San Francisco. Old members would be tasked
Okay.
with recruiting, leading to massive growth, and eventually they would reach thousands of members.
Hey,
Yeah? What's up?
do you like Jesus?
What? Like our Lord and Savior Jesus?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess. He's cool.
cool. Want to like him with us?
I'm okay, man.
I'm not trusting anybody that look like this or remotely even talks like this. Why does everybody in the cult group look like this?
Thanks.
Why?
I'm okay, brother. Appreciate the offer, though.
Why?
Just keep it moving, man.
Why?
Brother, try someone else.
Why?
All right, man, you're ridiculous.
This
Just
is probably their methods, bro. They not gonna stop until they actually recruit someone, bro.
give me the flyer.
Why they walk like that, though?
Okay, I can't do this. But the next step would come in 1974 when Jones would acquire close to 4,000 acres of remote land in Guyana in South America,
4,000?
a place he would call Jonestown, slowly sending over members as they would begin to build homes and
What?
inhabiting the land.
Y'all
He convinced
moved
his
for
followers
this?
to move by selling them the vision of paradise, a place where they can live freely without the government getting involved. For Jones, creating a socialist society had always been his goal, and it was finally
Why?
taking shape. By 1977,
That sounds like
around
too much
900
work.
members lived on the compound, and this would also be the same year that
What?
Jones would permanently join them. But the moment he arrived, things quickly changed.
What?
Everyone was expected to work 8-hour days, followed by
Damn.
classes at night, where they would learn about socialism. Jones had
Damn.
effectively begun to brainwash his followers, even taking on the name Father.
No, I'd be damned if a dude that's not my blood-related dad, I gotta call him father, bro. Y'all are slaving. How-
But everything would change
wasn't
on
doing that in
November
America.
17th, 1978, when a politician named Leo Ryan and his team arrived at Jonestown to investigate claims of abuse. After the investigation was complete, Ryan would be ambushed at the airstrip, where he and 3 others would be fatally gunned down. Jones, knowing that the end was near, had a few helpers prepare a giant tub of grape-flavored drink, adding to it a concoction of drugs and cyanide. He would then instruct all of his followers to drink a cup. Not knowing what was in it, his followers blindly followed his instructions. And with that cup, they had all but sealed their fate. More than
Yo.
900 people, including Jones, would end up dying shortly.
Not the lean cups. No, I'm not gonna lie. This whole time I thought they knew it was in the cups. That's tough, bro. Imagine the person that were like, I actually don't like grape. I'm actually a little allergic to this. Like that man is probably looking at everyone like, no.
After.
You're
This
probably happy
incident
now.
would create the famous saying, don't drink the Kool-Aid, meaning to not blindly follow a leader or ideology without questioning or critical thinking.
not know
or
that.
you just might end up like the people at Jonestown.
Damn. R.I.P. man, YouTube. Let me know which cult y'all thought was the worst. Don't join a cult, okay? Just be normal, all right? Especially if there's a man that's gaining money from this, like all of them did, all right? Join us on Discord, catch us on Twitch, make sure you guys subscribe. All that good stuff, man. Wax for life. Love y'all.